Hey YouTube fam, welcome. I'm so happy that you're here. Today's practice I have a full-length version of in my yoga membership website called The Kula, and the people in The Kula loved it so much that I figured I'd bring something similar over here. If you're interested in the classes that I put up on YouTube, my membership site is a full library of hundreds of classes of all lengths and styles and difficulty levels and focuses and breakdowns and challenges. There's so much in there. There's also an app so you can access all the content from your phone, and I do also offer retreats and yoga teacher trainings, which I have a whole lineup of for 2023 coming soon. So if you want to stay updated on all of the things, I'll link my website and my Instagram below. Find me on Instagram at Nicole Wild Collective. That's probably the best way to stay up to date with what I'm doing. And that was a really brief, quick rundown, but we'll jump into practice for now. This is a fluid spine and intentional twisting practice. It is gonna have moments of challenge for sure. We'll build some heat, but it's also just a lot about mobility and articulating throughout the spine. So I think it's a really fun practice. Go ahead and join me on your back. If you have two blocks, have them nearby. If you don't have two blocks, no worries. If you have a block, we're gonna grab it, and I'll give the option for something else in a moment too. But if you do have a block, supported bridge is where we will start. Block underneath the tailbone. If you do not have a block, we're just gonna bring the hips down to the floor, walk the feet wider than hip width, and let the knees drop in towards each other. So either feet hip width, block under the tailbone, or feet wide, knees together, hips to the floor. Either is great. We're just gonna bring the arms kind of out into a T, or maybe even up towards the head a little bit more so you can really take up space on your mat. And start just by landing here with a really deep breath in. Really big breath back out. One more time. Inhale through the nose, filling up the lungs as much as you can, and then when you think your lungs are full, sip in even a little bit more air. Open mouth, exhale, move it through. Same thing when you think you're on empty, when you think you've exhaled completely, exhale even a little bit more. Rebound, fill the lungs just as normal. Open mouth, exhale, let it go. And just let the breath return now to long and even inhales and exhales. Notice if you're tensing in the jaw, the muscles throughout the face, the shoulders. And if you've got a block underneath the tailbone, let's press into the heels just enough that we can lift the hips and release the block to the side of the mat. Lower the hips down to the floor. Pull the knees into the chest. Extend the arms out to a T, and on your exhale, let both legs drop over to the right, but keep the left shoulder engaged with the floor. In-breath, center. Exhale, knees over to the left. Right shoulder is touching the mat. In-breath, center. Exhale, knees to the right. In-breath, center. Exhale, knees to the left. In-breath, center, pause. Drop the feet to the floor, hip width distance apart. Walk the hands down by the side so that hands can graze the backs of the heels, and then lift the hips up, bridge pose. Roll the shoulders underneath you. We're gonna roll down our bridge pose one vertebrae at a time. So start at the back of the neck, the base of the skull, and then let the upper spine just slowly start to peel like you're peeling a sticker down, and you don't wanna get any air bubbles in it. Lower one vertebrae at a time. Keep the tailbone tucked upwards so that you can keep or get the low back to meet the floor, and then eventually release all the way back down. We're gonna do that same thing to lift back up. So start by tucking the tailbone, getting the low back engaged with the floor, and then lift the hips slowly as you lift the spine one vertebrae at a time, coming all the way up, eventually pulling shoulders underneath you. One more time here, just rolling back down one vertebrae at a time. Taking it slow, so you can find that articulation up and down the 24 vertebrae that make up the column of the spine. Pull the knees into the chest. Lift the shoulders up off the floor and clasp the opposite elbows behind the knees, and then squeeze the calves into the arms so you can kind of create some tension. Press the back of the heart into the space behind you. So you're really actively rounding the back body here. Feet are flexed. Like you're trying to both touch the back of the heart to the floor and the heels forward to a wall in front of you. Release the clasp of the elbows so hands can come to the thighs, just kind of rocking up and down the spine a couple of times until eventually you make your way all the way to a seat. Plant the feet, plant the hands, lift the hips, reverse table. Pull the shoulders underneath you. And then grounding into the heels, drive the hips up towards the sky. So we're activating down the back side of the body, but we're also getting some big opening in the shoulders. Take a little shift forward and back. This will require you to engage the muscles of the hamstrings and even the calves a bit. Keep lifting the hips up towards sky. Start to walk the hands towards the heels. Lifting the heels, peeling the heels from the mat, letting the knees reach towards the top of the mat until eventually you can get enough weight in the feet to lift the upper body. And then to sink the heels back down towards the floor, Malasana Yogi Squat. The heels may or may not reach the floor, but energetically, weight goes down. Elbows to the insides of the knees. Press elbows into the knees to traction the spine long. Take an inhale here. On your exhale, pull the chin in towards the chest, and we're going to let the thumbs rest at the space of the third eye. Just giving yourself a little bit of sensation to lean into, getting some length down the back of the neck. Press elbows into knees. Maybe pull the chin a little bit further into the chest. Roll the right ear over the right shoulder. Pause. Press the left elbow a little bit more into the left knee, getting the length down the left side of the neck. Roll the head all the way back, lift the chin. Roll the left ear over the left shoulder and press the right elbow into the right knee a little bit more. Find your way back through neutral. Peace sign fingers, reach for the big toes. Pull the spine really long, crown of the head extends. Take an in-breath. On an exhale, lift the hips up, find your fold. Release the clasp of the fingers to the toes and walk the feet in so that they're hip-width distance apart. Find a generous bend into the knees and just start by clasping opposite elbows and finding a sway side to side. Dropping the weight of the head completely. And find your way back through neutral. We're gonna roll up and down the spine a couple of times, one vertebrae at a time. On your in-breath, start with just a little tuck of the tailbone. And like there's a string pulling up from the back of the heart. Keep the head heavy, chin pulling in towards chest. Rolling all the way to standing. Roll the shoulders onto the back body, pull the heart through. Sweep the arms up and over, palms come to touch. As soon as the palms meet, start to send the hips back in space. And as you fold forward, the belly button is reaching for the thighs. And then the rib cage reaches for the thighs. And then the heart, and then the collarbones, and then the chin, and then the forehead. In-breath, roll to standing one vertebrae at a time. We are going to pick up our pace in this practice, but just starting by finding these articulated movements first, and then we'll bring them into flow. Arms sweep up and over. Once the palms meet, start to send the hips back in space as you dive the heart forward. Belly button reaches towards thighs, and then rib cage, heart, collarbones, chin, forehead. One more time, in-breath, roll to standing. Articulating up the back body as you come up, arms sweep up and over, send the hips back, and then exhale, dive the heart all the way forward. In-breath, just to roll into a halfway lift, so lifting from the back of the heart, crown of the head extends. We're gonna find that same little roll, but just back down from a halfway lift. So let the belly reach for the thighs, the rib cage reach for the thighs, the heart, the collarbones, the chin, the forehead. Inhale, halfway lift. Lift from the back of the heart, crown of the head reaches forward. This time we're gonna plant the hands, step back, plank pose. So I think it's really important in this conversation of finding fluidity that we also maintain our structure and our strength. So it's a balance of finding both. So we're gonna find a little moment of heat, find your plank pose, a little shift forward and back, getting into the wrists and starting to fire up the core. Find your way back through neutral. Let the right hand tap the left shoulder. Spin to the outside edge of the right foot, inside edge of the left foot, open up, side plank on the left side. Drop the left hip to tap the mat as the right fingertips extend back. And then on your in-breath, lift the hips up, circle back through center, high plank, and we'll swap it out. Left hand taps right shoulder. Spin to the outside edge of the right foot. As you peel the left shoulder to stack on top of right, exhale, right hip drops. Left fingertips point back. In breath, lift up, circle back through center, high plank. We're gonna bend into the elbows and lower halfway, pause and hold it. Drop the knees to the floor, but walk them forward just a bit so you can really lift the hips. And then on your exhale, tuck the tailbone. Let that start to ripple up the spine to pull the heart through, shoulders onto back body. We're working towards straight arms, but if that's too much for the low back, then bend into the elbows. Roll the heart all the way down to the floor. Tuck onto the toes. Stay grounded into the knees. Press back towards a child's pose with the toes tucked under, heart towards thighs. And then pressing into the feet, lift up, downward facing dog. Pedal at the feet here, bending into one knee, bending into the other knee, lifting or shifting hips side to side. Using your next exhale, step, walk, or hop the feet to the top of the mat. Find your folds. That halfway lift, roll up the spine as you extend crown of the head forward. And then belly to the thighs as you release, heart all the way down. Inhale, roll all the way to standing, one vertebrae at a time. Bring it all the way up. Arms sweep up and over, palms meet. Send the hips back in space. Exhale, dive the heart all the way forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Lengthen through the spine. Exhale, fold, plant hands, step back, plank pose. Right hand taps left shoulder. Open up, side plank, right fingertips extend. Let the left hip tap, right fingertips point back. And then lift back up as you circle, plank pose. Swap it out, left hand taps right shoulder. Open up, side plank on the right, left fingertips reach towards sky. Let the right hip tap as the left hand points back. And then lift back up, circle through center, high plank. Elbows bend, lower half. Pause. Let the knees drop and walk them forward a bit so you can lift the hips and then tuck the tailbone, ripple up the spine one vertebrae at a time, pull the heart through. Exhale, lower heart to the floor. Hands plant, toes tuck, press back towards child's pose. And then lift the knees, lift the hips, downward facing dog. One more time. Bend into the knees. Exhale, step, walk, or hop feet to the top of the mat. Inhale, that halfway lift, ripple. Exhale, halfway lower, ripple. Inhale, roll to standing. One vertebrae at a time brings you all the way up, arms sweep up and over. Palms meet, lift the tailbone as you invite the heart forward. All the way to your fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold, plant hands, plank pose. Pause. Right hand, left shoulder. Shift to the outside edge of left foot, right fingertips point towards sky. Left hip to the mat, right fingertips point back. And then back up through center, right hand plants. Left hand, right wrist, pause. Outside edge of right foot to the floor as you peel the heart open, left shoulder to stack. And then tap right hip to the floor, left fingertips point back. Back up through center, high plank, wrists underneath the shoulders, pause. Bend into the elbows, lower half. Drop the knees to the floor, walk them forward a bit. Tuck the tailbone, ripple up the spine, pull it all the way through. On your exhale, heart to the floor, hands underneath the shoulders. This time you could come back towards a child's pose, or you could tuck onto the toes and press all the way up through a high plank. Send the hips back, downward facing dog. On your next in-breath, come high up onto the toes. Exhale, bend into the knees, sit deep here, pause. Squeeze the right heel into the glutes. Maybe you sink a little bit deeper. We're gonna round through the back body as we shift forward. Keep the right thigh glued to the right rib cage, eventually stepping the right foot all the way through between the hands. Walk the left hand over to the left side of the mat as you circle right fingertips up and over, right shoulder pulls onto the back body. On your exhale, drop the left knee to the floor. Maybe squeeze left heel into the glutes, and then drop the left toes back down, and then lift the left knee back up. Both hands to the top left corner of the mat as the left foot spins flat parallel. Send the hips back in space as you walk the fingertips towards the top left corner of the mat. On your in-breath, straighten out the right leg, pivot to the left. Wide-legged fold, Prasarita Padottanasana. We're gonna find the shape just for a moment. One vertebrae at a time, roll it all the way to standing. Articulating up the back body as you come up. Arms circle up and over. Interlace the fingers at the top. On your exhale, toes point out, goddess hands interlace at the base of the skull. Elbows peel apart and down towards the back of the mat. All right, from here, we're gonna keep the left knee bent, left toes pointed forward. Pivot onto the right toes as you drop the right knee to a hover above the mat. Squeeze the feet towards each other. On your exhale, lean forward with the upper body, straighten out through the right leg. Keep pulling the elbows up towards the sky. All right, inhale here. On your exhale, legs stay as they are. Drop the right elbow towards the mat as if right elbow could tap the mat and left elbow could reach for the ceiling. And then release back through center. And then exhale, twist. Inhale, release. One more time, bend a little deeper into left knee. Exhale, twist, pause. Extend the arms long in both directions. Right hand meets the floor. Left foot takes a big step all the way to Wild Thing. Left toes all the way to behind you as you peel the heart open. On your in-breath, unravel. Both hands to the mat. Exhale, bend into the elbows, lower half. Hold it. High plank, press back up. Exhale, lower half. Bend into the knees, drop the knees to the floor, lift the hips. Tuck the tailbone, ripple up the spine, pull all the way through. On your exhale, bend into the elbows, deliver the heart to the floor. Tuck onto toes, high plank, press up. Exhale, send the hips back, downward facing dog. Come up onto the toes, take a bend into the knees, pause. Maybe you sink a little bit deeper here, and then squeeze left heel into the glutes, knees pull together. On your exhale, round through the back body as you shift forward, left knee pulls to nose, step the left foot all the way through. Keep the weight of the hips down as you step right hand off to the right side of the mat. Left fingertips open up overhead, maybe a little cactus shape with the arms to really squeeze left shoulder onto left back body. Left shoulder onto the back body, and then drop right knee to the floor. Squeeze right heel into the glutes, maybe. Drop right toes back down, and then lift the right heel back up. Unravel both hands to the top right corner of the mat. Right foot spins flat, send the hips back in space, walk the fingertips longer out in front of you. So you're really encouraging length down the back body. On your in-breath, pivot to the right, feet parallel, legs straighten out. Roll all the way to standing, one vertebrae at a time, bringing it all the way up. Arms sweep up and over at the top. As the hands interlace at the base of the skull, elbows point out, bend into the knees. Goddess pose. Maybe this time for a moment you shift onto the toes, let the heels lift. Sink a little bit deeper into the shape. And then drop the heels back down. Keep pulling the elbows into the space behind you. We're going to keep the right toes pointed forward. As the left knee stays bent, pivot it down to the mat, squaring off the hips to the top of the mat. Keep pulling the elbows into the space behind. On your exhale, straighten out through the right leg, extending crown of the head forward. Keep pulling the elbows up. On your exhale, twist, left elbow drops towards the mat, right elbow points up towards ceiling, like you're just rotating the lungs around the heart. In breath, unravel. Exhale, twist. Left elbow down, right elbow up. In breath, center. Last one, exhale, twist. Pause. Drop the hips a little bit deeper. Extend the arms long in both directions. Left hand plants to the mat. Big step all the way back, Wild Thing. Right toes come behind you. Right shoulder rolls onto the back body. Press the hips up towards sky. And then inhale unravels you back, high plank. Wrists under shoulders. Exhale, lower halfway, pause, hold. High plank, press back up. One more time, exhale, halfway, lower. Bend into the knees, walk the knees forward, tuck the tailbone, ripple up and through. On your exhale, lower the heart all the way down. Plant into the hands, tuck onto the toes. High plank, press up. Send the hips back, downward facing dog. Come up high onto the toes, bend into the knees. Right heel squeezes into the glutes. Exhale, round through the back body, shift forward, right foot plants. In breath, come all the way to standing, left knee into the chest. Left foot flexes out. Right fingertips reach forward, left fingertips reach back, find your twist. And then extend the left leg long, see if you can tap left toes to the right palm. Open it up, half moon, right hand down, left toes, left fingertips open up. Option for Chapasana, sugarcane pose, bending into the left knee, finding a kick into the hand. And then releasing the foot if you've got it. On your exhale, right knee bends, left foot steps back. We're coming all the way into a reverse triangle. Straighten through the right leg, left hand down, left thigh, right fingertips up and over. Bend into the right knee, cartwheel the hands, step forward, forward fold. One vertebrae at a time, ripple all the way to standing. Arms sweep up and over at the top. Send the hips back and start to dive forward. Belly towards thighs, rib cage, heart, collarbones, chin, forehead. In breath, halfway lift and lengthen. Exhale, fold, plant hands, plank pose, step back. Right hand taps left shoulder. Peel it open, side plank, right fingertips high. Exhale, left hip drops, right fingertips reach back. In breath, center, right hand plants. Lift the right toes to an inch above the mat, right foot flexes out. Squeeze the right heel into the glutes. Bend into the elbows as you lower all the way to the belly. Right hand reaches around for the right ankle, left fingertips forward, palm faces down. Kick into the right hand, lift everything up from the mat except for the belly button. So like you're trying to kick right heel up towards the sky, left fingertips to reach out long in front of you. Release heart to the floor. Hands underneath the shoulders. Tuck onto the toes, press back. Child's pose with toes tucked under. And then lift the hips, downward facing dog. Come up high onto the toes. Last time, bend into the knees. Left heel squeezes into the glutes. Exhale, ripple forward. Step the left foot all the way through. Come all the way to standing. Right knee up into chest. Right foot flexes. We're gonna start by twisting to the right. Left fingertips reach forward, right fingertips reach back. Keep the twist of the upper body. Maybe straighten out right leg. Tapping right big toe to the left palm. And then open up, half moon, Ardha Chandrasana. Left hand reaches down, right fingertips open up. Maybe you bend into the right knee, holding onto the outside edge of the foot and kicking into the hand. Chapasana, sugarcane pose. Releasing the right toes. If you've got them, step all the way back. Reverse your triangle. Right hand, right thigh. Left fingertips extend up and over. Bend into the left knee. Cartwheel the hands to frame out the left foot. Take a big step forward. Uttanasana fold. Roll to standing, one vertebrae at a time. And sweep up overhead at the top. Send the hips back as you exhale. Fold. In breath, halfway lift and lengthen the spine. Exhale, fold, plant hands, step back. Last time here, plank pose. Left hand taps right shoulder. Open it up, side plank, left fingertips reach high. Drop the right hip to tap the floor. Left fingertips point back. And then as you lift the hips back up, circle through center, plank pose, left toes lift. Squeeze the left heel into the glutes. Press the left heel up towards ceiling. Bend into the elbows. Lower all the way down to the belly. Untuck right toes. Left hand reaches around for the ankle or the foot. Reach the right hand forward, palm faces down, and then find a kick and a lift into your half bow. Right heel lifts, right fingertips extend. And release the heart down. Release the hands underneath the shoulders, tuck onto the toes, press back towards a child's pose with the toes tucked. And then just lift all the way up, downward facing dog. Big inhale through the nose. Big exhale back out. We're gonna roll out the dog a couple of times. On an exhale, like a wave, ripple forward, plank pose. Take a soft bend into the knees, and from the tailbone, pull the hips back, down dog. Belly button reaches for the thighs. Heart reaches for the thighs, head drops. Let that roll you right into the next one, ripple forward. And then soft bend into the knees, pull the tailbone back, the heart back. Straighten out the legs and let that ripple you right back forward one more time. Bend into the knees. Pull the hips back, pull the heart back. Pause. Bend into the knees. Come all the way down to seated with the toes tucked, or seated on the shins, but toes are tucked under. We're gonna bring hands to interlace at the base of the skull. Elbows peel apart and behind you. We are not back bending this shape, so it doesn't look like a lean open of the heart. It's a tall spine, but we're isolating this opening in the shoulders. On your exhale, we're gonna find that rotational twist open to the right. Left elbow points forward, right elbow points back. And then back through center. Exhale left. Back through center. Exhale right. Back through center. Exhale left. Back through center, couple more, right. Inhale, center, exhale, left. Keep the hips and knees as square as possible, over to the right. Back through center, exhale, left. This is a super active shape. One more time each side, exhale, right. Inhale, center, exhale, left. Inhale, center, keep the hands as they are, chin in towards chest, elbows pull towards each other. Rounding through the back body. And then as you release, come back through neutral, untuck the toes, come to the tops of the feet, lift the tailbone. Now we take it into a back bend, open up the heart. Like you could touch the elbows to the back edge of the mat. Keep the interlace of the hands, come back through a neutral spine, palms press up towards ceiling. And then on your exhale, round through the back body, press the palms into an imaginary wall right in front of you. In breath, release. Circle the hands around to interlace. Now at the low back, thread the heart through. Lift the tailbone, let the thumbs chase the heels or maybe reach the floor. On your exhale, fold over the thighs, keep the interlace of the hands. And releasing the hands down to the mat, walk the fingertips out long in front of you. Sinking into this kind of small child's pose shape just for one more breath or so. And round through the back body as you roll up towards a tabletop position, wrists under shoulders, knees under hips. Kick the right leg long behind you, right foot is flexed. Tuck onto the left toes. Lift the left knee, three-legged plank, and then pull the right knee to the right elbow. Pause. Step the right foot to the outside of right hand. Spin the left foot flat, walk the hands over to the top left corner of the mat, pulling the hips back in space and walking the fingertips out long. On your exhale, pivot to the left, feet parallel to the ends of the mat. Opportunity to invert if you wanted to play with bringing the forearms to the floor for headstand or hands to the floor for handstand. This is all just an option. But if you're playing with your headstand or your handstand, press. Or if that's something in your practice right now, great opportunity to go there. Otherwise, hanging out in the stretch in your wide fold. We've got 2 more cycles of breath in whatever shape you've landed in. Letting the transition out be just as mindful as the transition in. Eventually, on an inhale, we'll halfway lift and lengthen. Exhale, pivot back to the back of the mat. Frame out the left foot. Right knee drops as upper body lifts. Palms come to touch overhead. Stay here, or right heel squeezes into the glutes. And then drop the right toes back down, straighten out through the left leg. Let the heart pull towards the thigh. Left thigh, and then round the upper body forward, half split. Inhale, halfway lift, right hand stays down, left fingertips peel open. Keep the twist, bend into the left knee. Option to bend into the right knee here as well. Heel squeezes into the glutes. Drop the right toes, left hand to frame out the left foot. Kick the left toes back, 3-legged table, left foot flexes out. Tuck under the right toes, lift the right knee, 3-legged plank. We are on the other side. Press the floor away with the hands. Left knee pulls towards left elbow. Pause. Step the left foot to the outside of the left hand. Let the weight of the hips drop down, and then spin the right foot flat and walk the hands forward and over to the right. So hips pull back in space. Arms walk forward. Take an in-breath here. On an exhale, pivot right, feet parallel to the ends of the mat. Let the weight of the head drop down. We're just gonna pause in the fold here this time. On your inhale, halfway lift. Right hand to the left ankle, left fingertips up overhead. Option to bring left hand behind the back for a bind. And then unravel, back through center, swap it out. Left hand either to the center of the mat or over to the right foot. Right fingertips peel open. Maybe right hand behind you for a bind. And if the right fingertips reach for the left inner thigh, if they meet the left inner thigh, find some tension between the hand and wherever you've got the grip on the leg to peel the heart open. Unravel, come back through center. Pivot back to the top of the mat. Right toes point forward, left knee drops. Upper body lifts. Anjaneyasana. Open up the heart, stay here, or bend into the left knee, squeezing heel into the glutes. As the left toes drop back down, straighten out through the right leg, half split. Folding forward over the right thigh. Right toes pull back, right hip pulls back. Halfway lift the upper body, left hand plants, right fingertips open up, twist to the right. Keep the twist, bend into the right knee. Let the upper body lean into the space behind you. Last time here, option to bend the left knee, squeezing the heel into the glutes. Left toes drop, right hand plants. Kick the right foot back, three-legged table. And then just drop the right knee next to the left knee. Little shift with the hips side to side. Take a big step forward with the hands. Tuck the tailbone and ripple up the spine, one vertebrae at a time, coming all the way through to a big cobra shape. Shoulders are last to pull onto the back body. Chin lifts, gaze lifts. Press the floor away with the hands. Flex into the right toe, squeeze the heel into the glutes. If this is too much, bend the elbows. You can bring them all the way to the floor if you need. Right leg extends long. Left heel squeezes in, maybe. If it causes a pinching in the low back, let it go. Both legs long. Exhale, release, heart to the floor. Bring the palms to the mat and the forehead to the backs of the hands. And then just bend into the knees and windshield wiper the legs, side to side a couple of times. We're gonna go into one last back bend for our practice, full Dhanurasana, floor bow. Finding your way back through neutral, upper body lifts enough, knees are bent so that hands can reach around to hold onto the ankles. Pull the knees towards each other, flex out the toes. This might be as far as you take this shape. You do not have to go any farther than this. If it feels good, if you're feeling ready to open the heart a little bit more here, we can kick into the hands. And like you're trying to stomp the heels up onto the ceiling and simultaneously let the heart touch a wall just in front of you. Shoulder blades pull together on the back body. Glutes are engaged. And then release, heart all the way back down. Hands to the floor. Take a breath here first. Letting the spine just kind of find neutral. And then on an exhale, child's pose, rock over the knees. Send the hips back to the heels and let the arms extend out long. Next inhale, hands walk back towards body. We're gonna cross over the ankles, coming into a seat. Bottoms of the feet come together. Knees out wide towards the edges of the mat. Let's scoot forward towards the top of the mat if you're not there already. So outside edges of the feet to the floor. Actively press the knees down towards the mat, and then we're gonna reach the fingertips forward. And like you're reaching for something just past the mat, press into the heels and extend the arms out long. Letting the tailbone tuck down, so we're really inviting length into the low back. Maybe you reach even a little bit further. On your in-breath, come up through center. Exhale, one vertebrae at a time. Roll down the spine, keep the Baddha Konasana shape in the legs. Once you're down, press into the outside edges of the feet. Lift the hips up. Bridge pose with the feet together. Roll the spine down one vertebrae at a time, articulating down the back body. Once the glutes meet the floor, fingertips reach up overhead. Exhale pulls you all the way back up. Reach forward for something that's just past your mat. And then in breath, right back up through center. Exhale, roll down the back body. We've got just one more time, one more full round. So start by pressing into the feet, drive the hips up. And then lower down. Fill up the lungs here. Exhale pulls you all the way up towards the seat. Press the outside edges of the feet into the floor as you reach forward. Pull the thumbs up higher. In breath, back up through center. Exhale, roll down the spine one vertebrae at a time. We're going to land in our Supta Baddha Konasana here this time. So keep the legs as they are. Let the arms drop out by the sides. Let the weight of the legs be heavy. Swing the right knee over to stack on top of the left knee. Arms out to a T, backs of the palms meet the floor. Knees stay together, bring them through center, and then over to the right. And bring the knees back through center. Cross the right ankle over the left knee. Without using the hands, pull the legs in as close to the body as you can. So using the strength of the left leg to really pull the right leg in. Then you're going to bring the right peace sign fingers to the right big toe. Maybe the elbow kind of even nuzzles to the right knee a little bit. Keep the right leg exactly where it is. So you're not moving the right leg at all. But you're going to release the left leg to the top of the mat. Back of the left thigh presses down into the floor. Half happy baby. Peel the right hip open and open the right bottom of the foot up towards the sky. Maybe here you bend and straighten through the right leg a couple times. Next time right knee is bent, pause and hold. We're going to bring both arms back out to a T. Our final twist. On an exhale, twist the right knee over to the left, both shoulders touching the floor. Pause. Maybe you straighten the right leg and tap the right toes to the left hand, and then rebend, and then come back through center. 2 more times. Exhale, left. Straighten right leg, tap, rebend, back through center. 1 more time. Exhale, twist. Stay here, or maybe you straighten the leg, tap wherever the toes happen to land. Rebend, back through center, and then swap it out. Left knee pulls in. Cross the left ankle over the right knee. Without the help of the hands, pull the legs in as close towards the body as you can. Low back is touching the floor. There's even some engagement in the core here to really get the legs in close to the body. Left peace sign fingers, hold on to the left big toe. The left leg is going to stay as stable as possible, so as little movement as possible as you release the right leg away. And extend the right leg long in front of you. Back of the right thigh presses down into the floor. And then open up the left hip. Open the bottom of the left foot up towards ceiling and pull the left knee down towards the floor on the left side of the ribs. Maybe you play with bending and straightening through the left leg a couple of times. Rebend into the left knee. Release the hand from the foot. Again, as close as you can into the body. Pull the left thigh into the left rib cage. Back of the right thigh presses down. Keep both shoulders touching the floor as you exhale, twist over to the right. Left knee across the right side of the body. Keep everything else the same. Maybe you extend the left leg and even tap the left toes to the right hand, and then rebend. Come back through center. Exhale takes you into the twist. Maybe you straighten and tap. Rebend, and then back through center. Last time, exhale takes you into the twist. Strength of the core to find your twist. Maybe you straighten left leg, tap. Rebend. Back through center. Pull both knees into the chest. Lift the shoulders, clasp opposite elbows. Take an in-breath here. And then your exhale, Savasana. Legs extend long to the top of the mat. Arms drop out by the sides, palms face up, fingers curl in towards the center of the palms. And give yourself a little scan of the body right now. Notice what's going on in the feet, the ankles, up the legs, the knees, the thighs, to the cavity of the pelvis, the belly, up the spine, into the thoracic cavity, the rib cage, the heart, the lungs, the shoulders, the neck, the throat, down the arms, into the hands, and then throughout the head, the jaw, the face, the skull. Softening, relaxing into this final resting pose of practice. And if you get the impulse to skip Savasana and to let your practice end here, I encourage you to join me in the pause and to see what might be available to you here, especially if you resist it. In yoga, as a practice, it's about many things, but one of the common conversation points of the practice is finding balance, and we get to pair our heated movement practices with moments of pause and introspection, and that both energies are equally important to the well-roundedness and the wholeheartedness of our practice. There is a softness that waits for you here in the pause. Invite in a little bit of a deeper in-breath. Bigger exhale back out. Wiggle the fingers and the toes, the wrists and the ankles. Letting movement start slowly and the gaze stay inward so as not to jolt or rush out of the practice, but to create a through line. Arms reach up overhead. Pull the knees into chest. So creating a through line so that this practice goes with you as you leave your mat. Eventually we'll make our way up towards seated. Let's take one last breath together, closing out our practice. Empty the lungs completely. Take a big inhale, fill up. At the top of your inhale, when you think you're done, sip in even a little bit more and then hold it. Open mouth, exhale, let it go. Palms meet as the breath returns back to normal. It is an honor to move with you and to practice with you, and I thank you so much for being here, and I look forward to more soon. Namaste.